Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I'm Just an Asshole Sometimes. I'm your host Clarissa, and this is episode 21. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about a lot of Reddits concerning women hitting men. So if you're triggered by that, just skip this episode. But I feel like it needs to be talked about, especially in light of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation, trial going on, and I really think it needs to be addressed. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. I think these episodes coming up are really heartbreaking because I am reading a lot of young men that are dealing with this, and they're wondering what they did. What did they do that caused this? And the answer is nothing. It's not you. It's the other person. A relationship should never get physical. And once it does, I really personally don't think you can go back, especially because that person usually has a pattern of abuse with other partners. If you look at Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, she has been physical with other partners. Allegedly, her ex-wife, she assaulted in a Seattle airport. So it's not just one incident, and it'll never be one incident. It will continue to get worse. And I normally don't talk about this. It's not my story to tell. But my husband, the woman he dated before me for 7 years, she assaulted him many times. And we're not talking about like a 5-foot, petite woman here. I'm 5 feet, well, actually 4'11". But this woman is 6 feet tall, which is taller than my husband, and just a brute. And she would give my husband black eyes, bruised faces. And here's the thing, guys. When he would go to work with black eyes and bruised faces, the men, his coworkers, they would make fun of him. But if he were to defend himself, he would be known as a woman beater. And that is something you do not want to be identified as in this day and age. But if he does nothing like he would always do, he'd be known as a pussy. That, he is less of a man because he lets his girlfriend beat on him. So either way, you don't want to be known as either one of these things ever. I don't think it's nice to, be called a woman beater or a pussy, because that totally emasculates a person and just makes them feel like shit. So I think that if there's any signs of physical abuse, get the fuck out. It's like that person does not respect you, obviously. And why stay? They are showing disrespect day in and day out by hurting you. They don't have enough respect for you to not hit you, but to fly off the handle and think it's okay to punch you in the face or to throw things at you. Or like this woman would do, she would beat him, whatever. She'd make marks on herself and then call the cops and try to get him in trouble. Because most of the time, let's face it, police believe the woman. So if they come to a domestic situation and see that a woman has marks on her, of course they're going to jump to conclusions most of the time and assume that the man did this to her, where they won't even listen to the man's version. They just haul him away to jail. And this needs to change. So I'm hoping with this Johnny Depp case, people can see that, look at Johnny Depp. He was in a physically abusive relationship. Johnny Depp he's not a pussy. He's also not a wife beater. He was in a shitty situation. And finally, he's telling the world about it. And you shouldn't be ashamed to get the fuck out, leave, and just quit being that person's victim. No one deserves that. So these coming up Reddits, I mean, the answer is pretty much redundant over and over, but I'm just going to keep telling these stories because they're heartbreaking. And I know that as a mom of 2 boys, I'm going to have to teach them to be vigilant to stand up for themselves and that they need to respect themselves and have self-worth, and that they don't deserve to be in a relationship like that. So it made me think that way, that I have to teach them, of course, to be respectful in any relationship they're in, but also demand that they deserve respect as well. So it's just something to think about. And I've been watching this this trial diligently, and it's so sad. And Amber Heard, she looks so smug when Johnny is testifying and telling his side of the story. She looks almost pleased with herself that she inflicted this much pain on this man. And I'm sorry, but not sorry. I believe him. Amber, it's theatrics, it's dramatic. And of course, her deposition video from 2016, her story has changed many times. It's gotten worse through the years, so much more theatrical, dramatic. She's stolen actual lines verbatim from different movies. I believe she stole plots from movies, but that's my personal opinion. And I think people like her that lie, especially under oath, I think she deserves to have her career ripped apart from her. She played a huge part in destroying Johnny's career, and I hope for his sake he finds peace and he's able to get his career back. But I also hope that no one in Hollywood hires her anymore. She doesn't deserve that, and I hope Johnny wins this case. She does not deserve a penny of his money when she couldn't even donate the $7 million that she got from the divorce settlement to the ACLU and the CHLA, Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. She couldn't even donate a penny. And her excuse was Johnny is suing her. Well, she had that money 13 months before Johnny decided to sue her. So to me, that speaks volumes. She wants money. She and her 5 freeloading friends, they milked Johnny, lived in his penthouses, and lived on his dime. And to me, that's disgusting. He does seem like a really kind, humble, private person that now has to tell the world his most private of interactions. And I don't think that is fair to him. But I don't know, hopefully justice will prevail. And I hope Amber is a pariah. I hope she is blackballed to never be seen in Hollywood again. It's disgusting. It really is. And it kind of blew my mind because I remember this movie that was filmed in my area back in 2005, North Country, with Charlize Theron, about the mining industry, the taconite mining industry of, I think, the 80s. And first class action lawsuit in history, but where I think first sexual harassment class action lawsuit, if I remember correctly. But in that movie, Amber Heard played a young Charlize Theron, so it kind of blows my mind that she was in my area back then. I mean, I'm in a small town in Minnesota, and I don't know, just be interesting. I don't know if I could have ran into her back then and kind of know what would happen with her, but whatever. I'm just talking on my ass right now. So hopefully, I don't want to say enjoy the stories, but I hope they really make you think. And I hope this can change the way some people think about themselves, about maybe reassessing the relationship they're in, and maybe gaining some self-respect and knowing that they're better than this and they don't deserve this. So I don't know. That's kind of my mission with this episode of this podcast. So I hope you guys really soak in these stories because they are heartbreaking. And these are young men. It's sad. So anyway, stay tuned. Okay, the first one. Well, what's scary is I typed into Reddit, my girlfriend hit me, or just girlfriend hit me, and so many stories popped up. So I'm just gonna read a bunch of them and go from there. Girlfriend hit me in the eye after an argument. She's 26 and I'm 28, male. Hi. Just some context behind this. We were both discussing plans and sorting what needed to be done, where, and then she got into an argument about how I made a big fuss about a month she didn't want to get married in, and I ended up calculating costs for the month she wanted. She then continued the argument, which then ended with her hitting me in the eye. This is the second time she's done this. The first time I clearly said, if you ever hit me again, we are done. We have been together for around 4 years now. I have moved heaven and earth to be with her. I have never hit her. Didn't threaten her either time, but she thought the first time I was. I didn't do this, but told her to calm down. She was shouting at me and I raised my voice at the same tone as her and told her to stop. She then tried to use my laptop to hit me, which I took away from her. Before it got to the physical hit, she basically said I was bullying her for not letting her pick the month she wanted. Does this make it okay? Did I do something wrong? I keep thinking this is my fault. I need someone else's viewpoint. I know as soon as I tell my parents, they will tell me to head home and forget all of this. Do I press charges? How do you deal with something like this? I need my stuff shipped back to the UK. I don't want to ruin her life. Just feel like I keep making mistakes. Thanks. Okay, and then some of the comments. Get out now. It's over. Otherwise, it will keep happening. Get somewhere safe and worry about the rest later. You didn't do anything wrong. She's abusive. You need to take care of yourself. And OP responded with, don't know where to start and what to do. I'm currently in Sweden. Do I just book a hotel and then subsequently book a flight back? And someone responded, do you have friends or family? A hotel works. If not, take what's important and when you can arrange to go back. If that's not possible, I'd ship what you need ahead of time and then take off or take the loss on the stuff. It can be replaced. And OP said, moved here to be close to her. We live together in the UK. I'm telecommuting with work, so it's not a major issue there. I don't have any family around, so hotel it is. I have contacted some companies to get an idea of quotes for a move, but I don't think it can happen instantly. And even on a Sunday, literally most of my things in the apartment are mine. And someone said, get out and work out the details later. Stuff is stuff. Everything can be replaced. And someone said, leave now before she blinds you, or worse. Another person, leave the relationship ASAP. As someone that was in an abusive relationship, I wish I had left the first time I gave that ultimatum. It only gets worse and more frequent, and at some point you'll be saying those words every day. These aren't your mistakes, they are hers. Pack your stuff, head home, and restart a new life with someone that treats you the way you deserve. And then someone put, I think you should keep your word and be done with this relationship. Partners turning anger into physical violence is not a healthy dynamic, regardless of gender. It is not your fault, and you should not allow yourself to take any blame when you are being gaslighted. Abuse has no justification. What she has done is physical abuse, and as you told her, that is unforgivable and a deal breaker. I understand you feel tied to this woman because of your sacrifices and the time you spent together already, but just consider this. Wouldn't it be better to cut your losses and start fresh now, rather than spending more of your life with a partner who hurts you in anger? Does it not frighten you to think about how she may escalate this abuse the more chances you give her? Ultimately, you teach people how to treat you, and if you allow her too many chances to change or not deliver on what you say, she will never learn. You gave her fair warning. Now make good on that promise. Treat yourself better than she has treated you, and grant yourself the freedom to start over and find someone more deserving of your efforts. Best of luck. And then someone said, she's gaslighting you for saying that it's your fault for bullying her. Please don't marry her. You've done nothing wrong, and if it were you hitting her in the eye or threatening to throw her laptop, she would have called the police and her whole family would hear of your abuse. Get out. This will happen more than likely continue once you're married. So I believe that, and I feel really bad for this guy. I don't know why people I get it. They think it's their fault, but I don't know, in case you need to hear this, it's not your fault. Girlfriend hit me in the face with a bat after 4 years of being together. My girlfriend is 26. We met when she was 22, and ever since, everything has been awesome. But a few days ago, we had an argument that spiraled out of control pretty badly. It started with me suspecting her of cheating, and she and I fought over that for a while. And when I decided to get in my car and leave, she hit me in the head with my baseball bat, then in the face, leaving me with a concussion, a hemorrhage in my eye, and a broken eye socket. In our years of dating, she never once showed this side of her, and I'm confused why after all these years this happened. Is this something I should give her a second chance about, or should I cut it off? Oh my God, cut it off. She broke your eye socket with a baseball bat. That is horrific. Go to the comments. Nope, domestic violence is rarely a one-off. It can and will escalate. She used a baseball bat for her first offense. I recommend getting her charged with assault with a deadly weapon. Violence is never acceptable, no matter who the perpetrator is. I agree. Someone said she needs to be kept away from society. Another person, yeah, imagine what the second or 10th offense will be like. And someone said, there won't be a 10th. This guy will be dead. And someone responded with, right? This isn't, she slapped him on the cheek with an open hand. This is, she got the baseball bat out and smacked him across the head twice, doing permanent brain damage. Someone said, you should have called the police and had her abusive ass thrown in jail. And then someone said, I'm surprised the hospital didn't call them. And then someone responded with, did they not? I skimmed through the comments and didn't see anything about whether he did or didn't notify policy. I think he meant police. Or tell hospital staff what actually happened. I work in law enforcement, and our hospitals are great. Male or female, if they suspect any type of assault, whether domestic or otherwise, they tell us. Well, I know this is going to sound so messed up, but my sister beat me with a baseball bat, and I went into the ER because I thought I had broken ribs, and I refused to tell them who did this to me. I'm sure they assumed a man. I mean, I'm 4'11", but I was training for my black belt in Taekwondo at one point, so I do know how to take care of myself. But the thing is, my sister has a horrible temper. Whenever she'd come to attack me, I gave her 3 chances before I would react. And I remember her just hitting me with a wooden baseball bat and how bad that hurt. And I still didn't just, I shouldn't have, but no one would blame me if I took the baseball bat after her, but I couldn't. And I remember people in my life saying that if I told the hospital who did this to me, I'd be disowned from the family, which is really messed up. And I guess, I don't know, all these years looking back, we did her no favors by not telling police the brutality of her attacks. No wonder she's in the place she's in now. And I don't know, my sister, one time I had to bring my mom to an appointment. My mom was on life support. Like, she had sepsis, and she was in a coma on life support for 2 weeks, seeing if there's any change. And yeah, I when she woke up, I had, later on down the road, I was her caretaker. I still am. I had to bring my mom to an appointment on the other side of town. My sister asked if I could give her a ride to her job. I said, no, I don't have any time. And if I didn't make it to the check-in time, they're going to pass on my mom and go to the next patient. My mom absolutely needed to be seen. And I was sitting there waiting on my mom, and she went to grab my laptop, and I grabbed it because I just spent like $1,000 on this. Mind you, this is like, 2010? Things cost more then. But I grabbed it, and when I was looking down, she hammer-fisted me right in the face. And within minutes, my eyes swelled shut. Because I remember I had to drive 2 hours away to get my textbooks for college that I was going to be going to. And I was so embarrassed because my eye was so swollen shut. And even driving, it was so much, I don't know, strain on my other eye that I had a migraine, and it's like, I don't know why I didn't report the things that I did or things I went through. I should have. Maybe she would have turned out differently. Maybe she would, I don't know, not be such a sociopath. And I don't toss that word around lightly. I honest to God believe she's a full-on sociopath because nothing is her fault. She has no remorse for anything. Everyone's to blame but herself. She's the perpetual victim. It's scary, and so you're doing no favors to anyone by just, I don't know, not reporting it. Sometimes people, they really need to face repercussions, especially legal ones, and that woman definitely assaulted him with a deadly weapon, and she should be treated according to what she did. I mean, that's awful. A broken eye socket, it's like, most of the time, don't they need surgery for that to put in a plate? I don't know, but, I mean, that's bad. Okay, I apologize if you hear my son. He's playing in his little walker, but I don't know. This is my life being a mom. But next one. My girlfriend hit me for the first time last night. I've been seriously dating a girl for 4 months now. We've known each other for 4 years and crushed on each other the entire time. About 8 months ago, we began dating, or began spending more time with each other and fell hard and fast. It's literally been perfect. What I lack, she makes up, and vice versa. We can almost read each other's minds. We have a blast everywhere we go, and she's honestly just become the light of my life. She's hilarious, smart, artistic. We talk for hours, and it feels like minutes. She's caring and sweet. She looks out for people who don't or can't look out for themselves. She's just a beautiful person, the most beautiful person I think I've ever met. However, last night we got super drunk. She got more drunk than she has ever gotten and began raging. I'm not a confrontational guy, so I was taken aback and just made my way to the door. I wanted her to sober up and cool down and come to her senses. She began banging on the door and screaming hysterically. Once I opened the door, however, she became very physical, which has never happened before. Then it all happened so fast, and she hit me right in the face. I was in shock, complete shock. I'm not really sure how to proceed here. I might even love this girl. She's my best friend. I want to be with her, but I don't know how I feel right now. I don't know what to say to her or how to respond to her apologies. Of course, the perfect girl is imperfect in the worst ways. Just my luck. Dude, it's like, if she's as caring and stuff as you say she is, she would not have hit you. And I hate when they use that excuse of, I was drinking, whatever, like I don't know, they have no ability to control themselves while drinking. Like, it's, I don't know, a perfect excuse. It's not. It just means you really shouldn't drink. So the comments. Pal, I've been in a situation where a girlfriend hit me, and let me tell you, the best thing to do is walk away. It doesn't matter how much they say they love you or care about you. If she felt the same way you felt about her, she wouldn't have done that. If you aren't going to take Reddit's advice, listen to your gut. I'm sure your gut is telling you to walk away as well. Take care, man. Hopefully things work out for you. Then OP wrote, thank you for the advice and the wishes. Yes, my gut is telling me to split, and though I'm still processing, it kills me to know there aren't too many more options here. And someone put, there's only 2 real options, I'm afraid, and one of them is the right one. Sounds grim, but it's the harsh truth, I'm afraid. I hope things turn around in your favor. And then someone said, I've been in the same exact situation, and I thought it was just a one-time thing. Years later, when we were engaged and she became an alcoholic, my life got super dark. It took a long time to recover from that and the fallout. They just never hit you once. And then someone said, she's not the right person. And, he said he'd think he may love her. Well, get out now. It's been 4 months. Don't wait till it's been 4 years or 8 years and you have kids. Just get out now while you can. And I don't know, it's like you're not losing that much because it's 4 months. It hurts nonetheless, but it's way better than 4 years or being married with 4 kids. My girlfriend hit me a couple months back, and now she has to go to court. We have been fighting all through lockdown. I feel as if I only react to the situation, and yes, I could make it worse, but I'm trying not to. I ask her to calm down, to get quiet, etc. It never helps, only makes it worse. One day, it was a Sunday. This was after 7 PICE. I have no idea what they're trying to say with that. Calls over the spring and summer. She wanted to leave. She asked me to watch our son, pretty much demanded it, so she could go screw around. I said, no, I have to go to work. And at the time, I was doing DoorDash, barely working because she knew I had flexibility, and she'd take advantage of it and go see another man. Anyway, I said, no, I have to go to work, and she started screaming. We went back and forth. I told her why she demanded it. Getting louder, I eventually started screaming, and my son is in the house too. Back and forth for like 10 minutes. So I told her, you know what, I'm going with my son so he doesn't have to hear this. And you can leave too. And she hit me with my son in my arms. So I called the police again. She drove off before the cops got there, and I didn't see her again that day. I was irate. I gave the police officer a statement because this needs to end. Abuse with leaving, then no accountability. The officer said he can't do anything without seeing anything from me getting hit. The next day I started getting a bruise. 2 weeks later, I get gonorrhea. I don't have sex with anyone else. We get the shot together and we start fighting again. I asked her to get something out of her car and she wouldn't. So I did it for her and she hit me again in the face. I called the police. I was screaming at the officer this day like, you have to do something. Look at my bruise from last time, and you guys didn't do anything. What are you going to do now? And they weren't doing anything. So we left. 1 week later, she gets a ticket in the mail for domestic abuse. But it's not like I wanted her to get charged or fined. I wanted her to go to therapy and go to anger management so she can be the best mother for our child. And that's all I got to say. I don't know what I'm looking for here other than connectivity or just people that are able to help me through what I'm going through, because this is hard and I don't know what's going to happen. I want this person in my life, but I don't know, man. And then there's no comments, but to have a kid in that situation, like me and my husband, we promised ourselves before we had kids that we aren't going to argue in front of them, like even raise our voice or scream or anything like that. And my husband and I, we've been together almost 9 years, and in those 9 years, maybe had like 5 blowouts where like scream at each other. But for the most part, we can communicate pretty well, and the last thing we ever want is our kids to see us screaming at each other. That, you know, that's not the right way to resolve a conflict at all. So, I don't know, I couldn't imagine having a child with someone that is hitting you and they're seeing this. I mean, right now I'm listening to an amazing book called Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child by John Gottman. And it's basically, you know, raising your kid to be emotionally intelligent as an adult, whatever. And when they see things like their parents screaming at each other, hitting each other, you are like their number one role models. And they see you doing this, they're absolutely going to do this to other kids. They're going to have behavioral problems. I mean, I don't know, the last thing I ever want to do is fuck up our kids, you know. So I'm grateful. Me and my husband, we get along great, and if there's some sort of issue, we communicate right away and don't let it fester, because that is what can really make, you know, people pop off, is just bottling shit up. But thing is too, with how he didn't want her to be charged with domestic abuse, well, sometimes like the state I'm in, you have no say. The police show up, they see what is, you know, a domestic abuse situation. The state takes over. You have no say. You can go blue in the face, begging them not to press charges, anything like that, and it doesn't matter. It will automatically turn into the state of Minnesota versus so-and-so. So you have, no control over that. And yeah, you may want her to go to therapy or anger management, but you don't get to control what the punishment is either. She could absolutely do some jail time, depending on her record, be on probation for some time. Then if she keeps doing this and breaking probation, obviously she's going to go to jail longer and be in more legal troubles. I don't think people understand, like when you call the police, it's going to be really bad. Usually it's not just a slap on the hand. Usually, I don't know. My son is so cute. But yeah, I mean, you have no say what's going to happen after the police come. It's all up to them. So, I mean, I'm not saying that to discourage anyone, but just kind of making it known that you can't hope for anger management or therapy because, I don't know, the judge might want them to go to jail and learn their lesson, especially depending on how bad or the severity of what they did. So, I mean, you never know what's going to happen when you call the police. So, I mean, you might be the one that's getting abused and you might be the one in cuffs leaving out that door. Because with my ex, he broke my nose. I was all bruised and bloody. He didn't even have a scratch on him. But I was on probation for something stupid, and I was drinking, which I wasn't supposed to be, and he called the police because he wanted me to get in trouble. Well, he called and he said he was the victim of assault when I had dried blood all over my face. I had bruises all over my arms and legs. He spit in my face. The cops that showed up, I mean, small town, I don't know, it's not usually fair sometimes how things happen, but the person that showed up, the police officer, was his best friend's brother, so kind of sided with him immediately, and I was the one hauled away, and I just remember being devastated and remembering that I guess I can't trust the police, because here I am with marks all over my body, and they're not going to do anything. And I remember when I was getting booked, I asked them, aren't you going to take pictures? And they're like, pictures of what? And I'm like, the marks all over my body. And they told me they did not look fresh enough, which just blew my mind. I mean, they were appearing out of, bruises. They take a little bit, they're red, and then they start to bruise. And my nose was broken, and there's dried blood on my face. And they couldn't even get me, I don't know, a washcloth to wipe my face to get the blood off. And they're telling me it doesn't look fresh enough. I just remember being in complete shock and like I was in the Twilight Zone. Like, I guess this is how it's going to, pan out. And yeah, I went to jail, and he was in my apartment. He ended up taking everything out of my apartment, and he killed my cat, which is really messed up. So, I don't know. We were together maybe 4 months, so it didn't take long for things to get bad and escalate quickly. And I just remember being in shock because I was one of those people that promised themselves I would never get myself in an abusive relationship. And if I did, I would get out right away. And sometimes it's so subtle how the abuse starts that you don't realize how bad it is until you're out. And even though, like, I was in jail with a broken nose, not knowing what's going on, trying to call people to, I don't know, get him out of my apartment, to get the keys from him, to, get my cat, and just realizing I have absolutely zero control of my life at this point. And once I got out, like, things need to change, and I can't be picking partners like him anymore, that I'm allowing them to, I don't know, just take away everything that I was, where I had no self-esteem, no self-worth, no self-respect, just thinking I deserved all this shit. And I didn't. And I mean, of course, you hear from, like, your mom telling you, like, you don't deserve this, you deserve someone great. And it's like, yeah, you're my mom, you're supposed to say that. But it took an ex-boyfriend to really get through to me, he told me like I was just a great person, and he doesn't understand why I keep picking the shittiest of people, because I deserve so much better, because he thinks I'm one of the best people he's ever met. And that was when it really sinked in, and I will forever be grateful for him for talking to me and making me listen when I didn't believe in that, and getting therapy and realizing I deserve so much better, and finally gaining that self-worth, that self-esteem, and being truly happy by myself and not needing someone to, I don't know, be in a relationship with. That, I didn't need a man to complete my identity at all. So he knows who he is, and I'll forever be grateful for him for that. Okay, is it a red flag that my girlfriend hits me in public? We have a great relationship and have been together for a long time. She is very attractive, a real baddie. She knows this. At home, she is loving and sweet. Over the last year or two, when we are in public, she will play hit me for whatever reason. Not a nudge, a closed fist, as if she's taunting me. It started off soft, but has gotten more aggressive over the past couple of weeks. She'll just punch my arm when we're at the mall, in front of other people. She's starting to make me low-key uncomfortable. Is this behavior normal? No. Okay, someone said, how many horrible posts are you going to do about this terrible person? You just did another post about her 10 minutes ago. Get it together, man. Oh, wow. Someone else. Have you told her to stop? It doesn't matter if it's normal or a red flag, because it's all relative. What matters is that it makes you feel uncomfortable, and that's enough reason to tell her to stop. Someone else. My first instinct is to tell you to dump her, because you don't need a partner who physically hits you. Exclusion being if you're both into BDSM. However, since you're asking for advice on Reddit, I'm guessing you're not totally sold on ending things with her. So let me talk you through it. You answered the big question I have. How does this make you feel? You stated this makes you feel low-key uncomfortable. If that's the case, you need to give this woman clear and concise boundaries. I would suggest flat out telling her, I don't like it when you hit me, and I don't want you doing it anymore. Notice I specifically said no more hitting as opposed to not hitting so hard. The reason being is if you request she not hit as hard, this is inviting a lot of extra conflict into your relationship. I can promise you there will be many instances where she hits you a little too hard. Then if you confront her and say it's too hard, there's a chance she will counter with something like, oh, come on, I barely touched you. It's easier to just take hitting off the table. Unless both parties have some sort of kink involving hitting, there's really no reason for it to be part of your relationship. The other part of the equation is her response to your boundaries. If she starts arguing about how she's only playing around, or she doesn't see what the big deal is, you should end things with her. Essentially, she would be marginalizing your feelings in addition to hitting you and making you uncomfortable. That's not a good combination. The only acceptable response from her should be to agree to not hit you any longer and apologize for making you uncomfortable and hurting you. Provided she agrees with these boundaries, you need to take a good hard look at why she would do this. If you notice she has a tendency towards cruelty to others, physical or otherwise, I would suggest ending things with her. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in a relationship full of heartache. There's also a possibility it doesn't come from a place of cruelty. For example, she might have grown up in a family with a number of siblings, and they have a very rough and tumble way of interacting and teasing one another. That could potentially be a workable situation, provided she respects your boundaries. Anyway, sorry if I came off kind of strong. With my advice, in situations like this, I think it's better to take a direct approach rather than beating around the bush. I absolutely agree with this person. OP put this is what I needed, some type of literal plan to follow, or someone who can break this down for me. Do not apologize for coming off strong. Laugh my ass off. Thank you for the high quality effort response. And then, let's see. You are dating my ex, lol. She just wants a bloody good seeing to mate. Then she settles down for a day or two. Someone else. tell her to just stop hitting you. I don't know. Some people, with Reddit, sometimes, I don't know, people, I think, kind of like joke off a lot of things, but when it comes to like hitting and boundaries, it's like, that's absolutely a serious thing. And yeah, if she can't respect your boundaries, peace out. I mean, that's the majority of like a relationship is trust, boundaries, and just someone that respects you. And if she can't do that, I mean, what's the literal purpose of being in a relationship with her then? My girlfriend is pretending to hit me. Whenever my girlfriend is mad at me, she is pretending to hit me. She is always aiming for my face and then stops right before she actually hits me. I asked her several times to stop doing this because it just scares me. She either tells me that she'll stop or she'll say that she didn't do anything bad because she didn't physically hurt me. The last time she did this was 10 minutes ago because we both fell asleep in the afternoon and I woke up a few minutes before her. When she woke up, she asked me why I didn't wake her up. I told her I also fell asleep and that I wanted to wake her up in a few minutes. She didn't believe me or didn't want to believe me. I told her again I was really asleep and wanted to wake her up, but she told me I'm a liar and pretended to hit me again and called me a whore. I'm grateful for other opinions because I don't know if I'm overreacting because she isn't physically hurting me. Okay, the comments. This is abuse. Abuse is always a really good deal breaker to have in a relationship. I'm sorry. And, okay, I'm going to add on to this. Just because she's not physically hurting you doesn't mean she won't eventually. Usually abusers start, it's like a spectrum. It'll start slow, and then it'll get worse. And then if you say stuff like, don't hit me, stop, they'll just, she's like gaslighting him, like, well, I'm not actually hitting you. I'm not hurting you, so why do you care? No matter what, she's not respecting your boundary, and she's pushing it, actually, and I can see it just getting worse. Another person, it is not overreacting to feel your own feelings. It's called reacting. It wouldn't matter if most people were okay with this. You're not, and therefore it should stop. Someone else said, Mom here. Her behavior is textbook abusive, hon. Please consider exiting this relationship. You deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. Another person, you are not overreacting in any way. I'm sorry this is harsh, but this person does not love you. You do not do this to someone you love, period. One day those punches or slaps will hit you. Don't let this happen. Another person, she is abusing you, plain and simple. You have asked her to stop, and she hasn't. It clearly frightens you, which is ultimately her objective. She likely will actually follow through and hit you someday. These patterns of behavior tend to escalate. Also, calling you a liar and a whore, she sounds like a pretty terrible person. How old are you guys? You deserve so much better than this. Name-calling and threats of violence are so far across the line of what should ever be tolerated. You need to leave her. Exactly. When you get to name-calling, it's, I don't know, it's another form of abuse. So, let's see. This is an emotional abuse, and gaslighting could easily and quickly escalate to physical abuse. Please contact a domestic abuse agency for men for help and advice. Take care and stay safe. Yeah, just because someone's not physically hurting you yet doesn't mean it isn't abuse. So I agree. Leave her before it definitely escalates, and it will. My 27 male girlfriend, 22 female, of 1.5 years hits me and I feel powerless. My girlfriend hits me whenever she wants. Last night she slapped me and scratched me for 5 to 10 minutes. She was upset and just started going at me with full force. It's not the physical damage that hurts. It's her knowing that she can do this without repercussions. If I try to restrain her, she screams at the top of her lungs, making it seem like I'm hitting her. I called 911 once, we're in Ontario, when she wouldn't stop spitting at me, and the operator was not only unsympathetic but rude. I was made to feel like an idiot for calling. People have gotten involved in the past when she screamed, and they are quick to ask if she's okay, even when there are visible bruises on me and not on her. There were multiple holes in our living room from her throwing objects. The landlord immediately accused me. She's a very sweet and attractive girl to outsiders. At home, if I do something that upsets her, she can, not always, put me down, kick me out, or rarely hit me. I tried talking with her about this many, many times. I'm afraid to go to the police because I feel like they will believe her and I may get arrested. I try recording our voices so I have some evidence of her behavior, but it's hard to get her when she starts hitting me because it's spontaneous and unexpected. But even with evidence, I still feel as though the best result would be both of us getting in trouble with the law, and I can't afford a lawyer either. I'm afraid to leave because she's threatened to tell things about me to my family and friends, and I'm also afraid that she will claim abuse to the cops. She has a fear of abandonment issues, and she always goes a bit off the deep end whenever I attempt to end our relationship. I don't know what to do. There seems to be no support for men on this issue. I feel like I'd get laughed at if I went to the police. Not that I'd want to, because I'd probably get a record myself due to whatever they choose to believe. TLDR, in a fucked up relationship where a girlfriend feels free to hit me whenever she wants, afraid to involve cops because of gender bias, afraid to leave because of threats. What can I do? Oh, first of all, it sounds like she has, I don't want to diagnose, but it sounds like she has borderline personality disorder. She's afraid of abandonment, goes off the deep end when he tries to leave her. And with everything being so spontaneous, I don't know. So someone put, you need to record every violent interaction. Call a lawyer, and by that I mean call a lawyer yesterday. Get out of the relationship ASAP, but be sure to record the breakup conversation in case she gets violent. Next time she begins to assault you, you absolutely need to start yelling help and stop hitting me as loud as you can. If she begins to abuse herself to try to make it look like you assaulted her, you need to record her doing it. Bullies thrive on knowledge that their victims are powerless. Once you take that away from them, they are terrified. You need to legally fuck up her life because she'll do the same thing to you I can't talk, because she'll do the same thing to her next partner. Also, call the police department and try the dispatcher's manager. I don't know what the laws are like in Canada, but that wouldn't fly here in the States. Someone said, record said interactions in multiple ways too. Make sure to take pictures of your injuries after each new physical altercation and try to only defend yourself. Don't give her any bruises of her own, and she can use that against you. She can talk all the shit she wants to, but if you have hard physical evidence that she is being abusive to you over a period of time, then you should have a solid case against her when you get enough evidence to prosecute her, which you should do because this is not okay in any way. Then OP responded, I used to reach for my phone and turn the video recorder on when things would escalate, in part to prevent from being hit further, and in part to have evidence. However, she accused me of blackmailing her for having those videos, and she threatened to tell the police it was blackmail, so I deleted them. The police were going to send a car out. I'm not sure what she told them exactly, but they felt like I was in the wrong, so I panicked and I deleted them. Now I just use a sound recorder that she doesn't know about. I also do take pictures of my bruises. I do all this as a means of self-defense. The police have been called due to her screaming before. That is insane that she just starts screaming bloody murder, and then, I don't know, it's like she probably will hurt herself. It is so disgusting. Someone else said, it's not blackmail. You are protecting yourself. Stand up to her. Video record her, and next time she cries blackmail, laugh in her face as you call the police. It's not blackmail. It's evidence of assault. Are there cops in your area really that dense? I was thinking the same thing. There's no way that's blackmail when you are recording her abusing you. It's like, she is like a master manipulator. Just wow. Someone else, Ontario has a mandatory charging policy. Police decide whether to lay charges when called for domestic assault. Where the altercation is between a man and a woman, they almost always charge the man. The reason for this is that in the past, when they were called in a domestic assault, the woman would say she didn't want to press charges for whatever reason. And too many times it happened that her partner killed her later. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but if you're a man being abused by a woman, you're very likely to be screwed. And how sad is that we live in a world where you can't even plead your case. Like, immediately they believe the other person. It's just sad. Let's see. Turn the webcam from your laptop on and keep it on. Or if you have an old Android, iPhone, tablet, or phone, set up a CCTV-like network. You can download IP cameras, and some of them, paid, turn on by motion and or noise, and you can turn it on from another phone, tablet, PC, hide an old phone somewhere, in the bathroom, closet, whatever. Upload to a file server, Dropbox, SugarSync, etc. Come mostly within a couple free gigabytes. Maybe you can sync it immediately. It's some work to set up, but you better have as much proof as possible. Also, this isn't blackmail, it's collecting proof. See how she's already intimidated you? Get out ASAP, plus have reliable people witnessing the breakup and post-breakup events so she can't cry rape. Good luck, OP. Oh God, I didn't even think about that, but I wouldn't put it past her. Then someone said hidden cameras. And someone said, hidden camera, record a week's worth of her lashing out at you. That's not blackmail, is it? That's evidence. And then someone said, you may run into other problems setting up a hidden camera. I am under the assumption the recording will be done within an apartment or house. Do not know the law, but my assumption is that there might be reasonable expectation of privacy. OP should check with lawyer first. Yeah, I mean, someone said this is correct. She sounds like a narcissistic psychopath. She is quite literally insane. Insane enough to make the cops believe that she is a victim. There's a mandatory charge policy in Ontario. If the cops get called over domestic assault, it is almost always the man who goes to jail. That is so sad. I'm trying to see when you put this out. 7 years ago. I really hope that he is doing much better, because I couldn't imagine. This is awful for this poor guy. And I couldn't imagine feeling so powerless. And I hope this woman has finally, her shit's finally caught up to her, where she can't manipulate the system, and hopefully she gets in trouble. Ex-girlfriend hit me, scratched my eye, and bit my hand last night, and now she's saying I hit her. She's threatening to go to the police, not a scratch on her. So last night I went to get my phone back from my ex's house. Very toxic, physically/mentally abusive relationship, but got out of it last month. She stopped paying for it and refused to give it back. I bought the phone, and it's on my plan. She started yelling and screaming out of nowhere when we were simply talking talking calm in my car. She has a long-term history, hospital records show, of being mentally unstable. This girl threw a brick at my car and has hit me/thrown things at me in the past, but this is the last final straw. On the ride, she jerked the steering wheel again, started punching, scratching, and bit down on my thumb as hard as possible. I did absolutely nothing besides trying to get the car off the road before she kills both of us. She kept yelling and screaming for a few minutes, and finally gets out of my car, starts walking home, and I went home. I woke up to a text from her today saying that she's going to the police today, and she's going to throw my phone into the harbor. She's claiming I beat the shit out of her, which I never laid a finger on her, and saying how she's going to ruin my life. I I have texts from months ago admitting she threw a brick at my car / hit me. What I'm worried about is if I go to the police and she finds out, she's the type of girl to throw herself down the stairs, cut herself, and even bruise her own body and flip the story on me. I don't want to deal with court, arrests, or any of that. I just want her to completely get out of my life, get my phone back, and never deal with her again. What should I do before this turns into a false domestic abuse case and I spend thousands trying to fight it? TLDR, ex-girlfriend refused to give me her phone that I paid for / on my plan, physically abused me, and is now saying I beat the shit out of her, threatening to go to the cops. Okay, comments. You can't stop her from reporting anything to the police. She either will or won't. You can and should have reported her attack on you to get ahead of this. If you haven't, you should. If she goes to the police and takes a false report and files a false report, you shut up, do not talk to the police, and get an attorney. Someone else said, you can't stop her from doing what she's going to do. If she goes to the police and the police contact you, you should politely refuse to speak to them. If they arrest you, continue to politely refuse to answer any questions and retain a criminal defense attorney. It may be prudent to cease all contact with her. No sense in risking escalation or police involvement over a dumb phone that can be replaced. If she assaulted you, you can opt to go to the police first. This is assuming you're somewhere in the USA. Your location is not optional. Let's see. Beat her to the punch and report her. You have the text proof that she is unstable and willing to lie to the police. Then someone said, where is there text proof that she's willing to lie to the police? Then he said, the text she sent. The person said, as I read it, the text just say that 1, she's going to go to the police today. 2, she's going to throw OP's phone into the harbor. 3, she's claiming OP beat the shit out of her. And 4, that she's going to ruin his life, none of which is proof that she's willing to lie. I don't know. I would file that report ASAP and then document any contact he gets from her, but I would cease all contact on my part. And if she's as bad as I think she is, she will definitely be texting him and try to get a rise out of him, something, and he should be able to have some information to document that. Again, women that do this where they're the abusers and they flip it so they're the victim make me sick, because this is the reason why people aren't being believed when they are a victim. They're afraid of not being believed. They're afraid of being flipped on them. It's absolutely disgusting. I mean, I wish this would all stop, but I think, until the end of time, this will always be an issue. But, I mean, how horrible. I mean, it sucks that he's afraid that she's going to actively try to ruin his life. I mean, that's terrifying, but you should try to beat her to the punch. Okay, that concludes episode 21 of I'm Just an Asshole Sometimes. I hope this wasn't too triggering for those that listen to this all the way through. I apologize, but I really do think that there needs to be more conversations about this, especially with the Johnny Depp trial going on. I watched a little bit between recording the first half and the second half, and I think Johnny did a great rebuttal yesterday where he testified and was able to further detail what Amber said he did. And he says it's devastating, it's insane, just whatever, hearing her say all this about you. Then today, she said, she was fake crying, like no tears, that she deserves to tell her side of the story. And she's been getting threats and all this, and you know what? I really don't believe her. The whole time when she's talking, she's staring down the jury, which I'm sure makes the jury members very uncomfortable, because they know her future is in their hands, and I don't know, when she stares them down, it's quite uncomfortable. Anyway, if any of you are in this position, there is help. there is National Domestic Violence Helpline. The number is 1-800-799-7233. Or you can text START to 88788. And I really hope no one needs to use this, but if you do, I hope the ultimate best for you. Wish you nothing but peace and just love, and realize that you deserve better and you do not need to put up with this, and just get out before it escalates into something very tragic. So I'm sorry to end this podcast on such a depressing note, but just know that it always gets better. Trust me on that. Even in my darkest times where I've been in an abusive relationship, I've been in too, it does get better. So just always have hope. So on that note, guys, I hope you have a great one, and don't be an asshole. My girlfriend hit me, and I'm having trouble leaving. My girlfriend has become increasingly worse as we've went on. In the beginning, it was fine. She'd get real moody a lot, but like, I get it, life sucks sometimes. That developed into her taking it out on me all the time, picking fights for no reason, etc. At one point in our relationship, I started getting real insecure at the fact she might have been being sketchy behind my back. She reassured me constantly until the day I found out and left to my parents' house for the day to just talk to them. She was planning to meet up and sleep with guys online for money because we'd both lost our jobs due to COVID. She wouldn't let me back in the house. I hadn't even told her, but me leaving for the day and not coming home when she wanted me to was the breaking point for her that day. I convinced her to let me in, at least talk to her for the sake of closure. I just wanted to know why she'd do that and lie to me. She basically stated it was about money and making us survive every time. She's awful to me. She insists she loves me, etc., etc. We fought. I kind of understood it, so I was willing to make it work because she made me feel like she was sorry. Things are okay until about a month ago, aside from some arguments here or there, mostly just minor things I'm noticing at this point. This is where everything starts to get extra bad. I lose my car to a reckless driver. I'm out of work now because I can no longer commute to work. I've been working on getting another vehicle. I've been paying for everything. The past 4 months, driving her around, I've been pretty much put everything aside just for her during the time since the first incident to try and rekindle the relationship. She's increasingly getting more aggressive as the days go on, snapping at me over voicing my opinion or just frustration on anything, while she'll complain about everything under the sun. One day she gets up and starts smashing bottles and a bong while I'm on the phone with a friend of mine because she thought I was smoking weed. Mind you, I don't. I absolutely quit the stuff about 5 months ago because it makes me feel awful. But she swore up and down I've been smoking because she heard a lighter flick and that I have better things to be focused on instead of talking to my friend. Then the other night was my tipping point. I was up late. She wasn't here because she was dog sitting. We're talking, just discussing stuff, and she kind of backs me into a corner with questions over text message. I pretty much just tell her that sometimes I feel like I can't do my own thing because she's a full-time commitment, and it doesn't seem like it's the other way around for her. Like, I can't ever enjoy my friends or stuff I like to do because she doesn't want to be around it, or that if my attention isn't solely focused on her, that I don't care about her, when it seems like she's only ever concerned with how she feels and not how I feel. This is about 8 a.m. in the morning. I tell her I don't want to do this. I'm going to bed. She calls and calls. I tell her I want to sleep. She says she's coming home right now. We verbally argue when she gets home. She grabs me. She grabbed me and pushed me once when she got this heated before when we had our first big argument. So I grab her hands and tell her to let me go. I don't want to be touched. She grabs me even harder and I push her hands off. This is when she hits me about 5 times in the head, extremely hard. I have bruises and some knots on my head from it. It took me it took me some time to process what happened because I was abused a lot as a child. When I realized, I flip. I go into a full-blown panic attack and start packing my bags. She's grabbing at me, begging me to stay, etc., etc. I'm in no state to pack, nor do I have anywhere to go at this point. So between bawling, puking, and having pretty bad PTSD, I tell her to leave. She needs to go and sleep it off. It's been about 4 days. I have enough money from my car getting totaled and a place to leave to in a different state. I just haven't left yet. I feel like she's sorry. She's been texting my phone, occasionally coming back for a few minutes, but I'm just fucking terrified of her now. She has a lot of stuff going on with her, and like the thing that made me pack my bags the other night and start getting stuff in order is because of how often she'll say she's going to kill herself. I care, obviously, and I believe she's sorry, but I'm scared of her now. I'm also scared of leaving her in a poor place financially, but this isn't okay, right? That's sad that they even have to ask, but comments. No, it's not okay. It is never okay to put your hands on someone in anger, and the moment she crossed that line, she accepted whatever consequences come with it. It sounds like she has a history of issues venting and managing her anger, and if so, she needs to get professional help. You are not responsible for her actions, no matter what. You need to get out of there, and you need to safely document whatever injuries you have and break up with her over the phone. Do not go near her again without someone else or police accompanying you. Someone said, yes, you should feel totally free to break up and leave. She's been abusive and dishonest, and she's using threats of suicide to be manipulative. She's physically hurt you. Take your stuff. Leave. Someone else, your safety should always come first before anything else. If you think she may harm herself when she finds out you're leaving or have left, call emergency services and ask for a welfare check on someone who may commit suicide. Leave, take care of yourself, make the call, and put her out of your mind. What she does is it's up to her, and anything she does is her choice, not because you left, which is true. Then someone said, not only are you justified in wanting to leave, if you stay, all you're doing is inviting more pain and heartache on yourself. I'm a 40-ish male, and I was in a relationship very similar to this. The longer you stay, because eventually you'll leave because you can't take it anymore, the longer you'll have to work to put yourself back together after you finally leave. Let me guess, now that you, A, don't need anyone for everything, and C, you can't just manage your life without her in it. Did I just get that right? I imagine I did because I've been there. Plus, or after you leave, you'd be a shell of yourself, and you will have to do the hard work of putting yourself back together and fixing whatever is inside you that made you think that her treating you this way was acceptable. The longer you stay, the harder it will be to rebuild. Trust me, man, leave immediately, because you'll leave eventually. No human can take that for their whole entire life. She's abusive. Say it over and over until you get it in your head. Also, the next time, I'm trying to see, she threatens, oops, hold on one sec. I accidentally hit a different button, but let's see. Okay. Also, the next time she threatens suicide, don't fight her. Don't talk her down. Call 911 or whatever your country has it outside the U.S. and leave. Emergency services is required to pick her up and bring her in for an assessment. If anyone ever threatens suicide, they need immediate help, even if they're doing it to manipulate you, because that in and of itself is really sick, and anyone who would do that needs real immediate help. Best of luck, OP. And then, what's the other ones? The other one is leave her. Just do it. She can't take care of herself. Just And then someone said she tried to cheat on you, wouldn't let you in the house, started smashing bottles in the house, physically beats you, emotionally as well. She tells you she will kill herself. She's not only saying sorry, but is making no attempt to actually make up for you. 2 choices. Get her to counseling or leave. I understand you don't want to leave her in a financially poor situation, but hey, she should have thought of that before abusing you. I absolutely agree. So, this one was written 1 year ago. I hope this guy has peace in his life and is rid of this woman because she sounds so incredibly toxic. I could not imagine going through